Hello and welcome, I'm your Code Monkey. In this lecture, we're going to set up post-processing and lighting to make our scene look really nice. Okay, so here we have some assets and we have our camera set up. Now let's make it look nice. We already have the project set up to use URP, so adding post-processing is actually pretty simple. It's already somewhat enabled by default. Here, this scene that was created automatically already has a global volume, and by default it already has a volume profile attached. So let's use this as a starting point, but let's also just rename it. So instead of sample scene profile, let's just give it a proper name, so the game scene profile. Okay, so now here, let's set up the effects. Although of course, keep in mind this is really just a visual thing. So if you prefer a different visual, then feel free to use whatever effects you want. Now personally, I don't really enjoy tone mapping. I think it makes it look quite a bit washed out, so personally I don't really like it, so I tend to remove it. Then for bloom, we can go ahead and leave it like this, so with a threshold of 1, intensity of 0.25. Then for motion blur, that is also something I don't like, so let's go ahead and remove. And for vignette, I think this one always looks good. Let's make it just a little bit more intense, so maybe something like 0.4. Okay, great. So that's it for post-processing. Like I said, this is just a visual thing, so if you want a different look, definitely go ahead and use it. Next thing, let's set up the lighting. So let's go for the main light. So on the hierarchy, let's select the directional light. And for this one, in terms of temperature, it looks pretty good. Then over here for the intensity, let's make it a little bit less intense, so 1.5. Just like this. Everything else on defaults. Next, let's handle the global lighting. So for that, let's go into window. Then down here, let's go into rendering and open up the lighting window. Okay, so here it is. Let's go onto the environment tab. And on this one, over here for the environment lighting for the source, instead of skybox, let's go with color. And then over here for the ambient color, let's make it sort of a grayish white. So let's put it maybe something like this. So maybe about 220 on all of them. Yep, there you go, just like this. So that's looking pretty good in terms of lighting and visuals. Next, let's add some nice screen space ambient occlusion. So that one is going to be added on the renderer. So let's select the default one. And by default, it actually comes with a mobile renderer and a PC renderer. We're making a PC game and this is set up for the PC. So let's go ahead and use this renderer. This is the one that is actually active. And importantly, it's over here on the renderer, not on the render pipeline asset. No, for the screen space ambient occlusion, we want it over here on the renderer. And it's actually already here by default. We already have screen space ambient occlusion. Let's just make it a little bit more intense since, as you can see here, the camera is going to be quite far away. So for the method, I think interleave gradient looks a little bit better. Then for the intensity, let's make it quite a bit more intense, so let's say about 10. Then for the radius, let's also make it bigger, so 0.6. Fall distance like this, and indirect lighting a bit more like that. So as our camera is quite zoomed out, I think like this looks quite a bit better. We can enable and disable it in order to see the difference. So with it disabled and enabled, and personally I think it looks quite a bit better with it enabled. Okay, that's great. Finally, let's go onto the render pipeline asset. And over here on this one, most things are already correct. Over here, let's make sure we have AGR so that bloom works. If you want, you can go ahead and enable anti-aliasing MSA. Either way, it shouldn't change too much. The important one is down here for the shadows. Again, since the camera is going to be quite far away, we don't want shadows to disappear at just 50 units. That's way too close. So let's put the max distance at something like 150. Okay, so I think this visual looks pretty good. Again, like I said, most of these visual effects are very much personal preference. They don't affect how the code runs in any way. Also, by the way, the post-processing effects, like we saw, those are actually saved onto a file. So if we select the global volume, yep, here is the game scene profile. So if you want, you can just duplicate this file. Then you can have two files with completely different effect settings. You can have one that looks exactly like I have here, and another one that has whatever effects you want. Okay, that's really it. Our post-processing effects and everything is all nice and set up. So with that, let's go on to the next lecture.